Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. This has been quietly in the works for years. In fact, I think Flare, when did it first get announced? I'm pretty sure like half a decade ago. And this specifically, what's on your screen right now, it finally went live today. I'm talking about FXRP on Flare Network, and I'm going to focus heavily in this video on exactly why that matters for XRP holders. I'm going to give you real-world examples of why this will make XRP more useful, and thus, of course, helping to ensure the long-term viability of XRP itself and the XRP ledger. And so this right here, I got to tell you, this is nothing short of a massive utility jolt. The degree to which more money is going to flow into XRP, if the vision of the creators ends up panning out, is going to be substantial. Like perhaps, over the long haul, I keep highlighting how over the long haul, XRP ETFs, like the amount of money that's going to pour in over a span of years and decades, it's just going to be ridiculous. It's another one of those types of situations. So this is all about Flare Network's integration of FXRP and its DeFi capabilities. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so here was the original post this morning. It literally happened today. This is from the official Flare account. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to read everything that I'm about to pull up. I'm just kind of letting you know some of the developments. And I wanted to highlight that Ripple X, which is one of the official Ripple accounts. This is the development portion. They shared this data. It's on your screen right here. Ripple's absolutely behind this. They had a huge write-up here. And again, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through all this. I mean, frankly, I'm just letting you, kind of like a news update, but I also, on top of the news, I want to explain to you why this matters if you're an XRP holder and why this is fantastic. Because I always find, look, crypto media, they kind of do their job. They'll basically take whatever is spouted by Flare or Ripple, and then that's that. And then you're sometimes left scratching your head, okay, I get it. There's a few literal things that are literally true. Why do they matter to me? And that's where I'd like to come and be like, here is why, which is what I'm going to do in this video. But crypto media doesn't tend to do a great job at that, frankly. That's why I'm not convinced that they even know what the hell they're typing. I think that they just regurgitate what's already out there in the official press release with no additional insight. Like, that's frequently what I find is the case. And that's where I come in. Then there's this post from Hugo Filion, and he, of course, is co-founder over at Flare Networks. And he wrote in part, "This is a momentous moment in both the culmination of work we have been doing since the beginning and also the start of the next phase. One of many momentous things that will be coming in the next 12 months. And he did thank David Schwartz, one of the creators of XRP and the XRP ledger, back 13 years ago. Well, they started building it actually in 2011, and then XRP was created in 2012. But anyway, he thanked David Schwartz because he said, "Lastly, I'd like to thank David Schwartz, whom I first spoke to in late 2018, and without that conversation, Flare may not be here today." And so they've been working on various Flare things, including XRP, for like half a decade publicly, but longer than that behind the scenes. This has been a really big thing in the making, and it finally got launched today. Not everybody, there are a lot of people that have bitched up a storm because they wanted it sooner. Shut up. Stop having stupid opinions. STOOPID, stupid. Because you got to understand, they're doing this the right way. They don't want to haphazardly roll stuff out, and they've taken a very thoughtful approach to this. You only get one chance for rollout. And so far, it is exceeding expectations, as proved by this. Look at this post from Hugo Filion, 1:17 p.m. this afternoon. 5 million XRP in 4 hours. Do you know what he's referencing there? This week's cap. That's right. They had a cap for how many FXRP assets there could be this week, and it hit the weekly cap in less than 4 hours. 4 hours. And I don't have it pulled up on your screen, but there's a separate post where he claimed, and I didn't fact check this, but I doubt he'd say it if it weren't true. He said that this is, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is the fastest investment, he worded something like investment vehicle money flowing into to an XRP product. It was something along those lines. I should have just pulled it up, but it just entered my brain region, so I'm sharing it with you. But it's basically the most amount of money that's flown into an XRP product in terms of speed. It was that rapid, and now it's done for the week. And they're going to up that. So he wrote, "We hit this week's cap in less than 4 hours. We have caps because this is the responsible thing to do. They will be raised next week. Please do not buy FXRP on Flare's decentralized exchanges at prices way above the XRP price. The pricing may get out of whack until the cap is unlimited due to a supply-demand imbalance. Clearly, there is a lot of demand. Caps will go up. And XRP community member Moonchaser wrote, "Bravo. And this is all simply community demand. Institutions are going to want a much higher cap. How much did you say again, Hugo?" And Hugo wrote, $100 million is the minimum amount that institutions want to get involved with. So you can see what's coming, right? Do you see how big this is going to be? Absolutely freaking monstrous. Oh, it's just wild stuff. You love to see it. This is one of those surreal days where after hearing about this for so many years, like it's actually live. And what's exciting here is that XRP, which for a long time has mostly been known as a payments and settlements token, will now plug more directly into the decentralized finance universe, and that gives XRP holders new utility and optionality. So the way it works is that holders can lock or convert their XRP in a way that lets them mint or use FXRP, which is a representation of it on Flare, enabling them to use that the tokenized value in lending. It can be used in borrowing, staking, or other DeFi apps built on Flare. So your XRP isn't just sitting in a wallet. It can become capital you deploy, and while still retaining a link to the original asset. So for XRP supporters, that's powerful because it means you don't have to choose between holding your XRP and participating in DeFi. Now you can do both. Before this, not so much. Over time, as more DeFi apps build on Flare and support FXRP, the demand for XRP to be wrapped or bridged into that platform may increase. That's the goal, obviously. And of course, that potentially would be something that creates new buying pressure. That's a huge part of why I'm interested in this. Substantial buying pressure. Or at least more utility. And I think that leads to more buying pressure ultimately anyway. Because utility, when we're talking about utility, that's the creation of actual value. Now, for the purposes of this video, I don't want to get too deep into the technical weeds, but it helps to know that all of this is handled via smart contracts and bridges behind the scenes. The Flare network ensures that the value is backed or collateralized appropriately so that FXRP remains well pegged to XRP with mechanisms to handle redemptions or conversions. So certainly not magic, but the engineering is designed to make the transition seamless for users. So in short, as the ecosystem gains further adoption, XRP holders will have the chance to earn returns, add capital efficiency, and frankly, just ride the broader growth of DeFi, which is clearly here to stay. And all of that without having to give up holding XRP itself. So if this succeeds, it could help push XRP from being just a payments play into a more versatile DeFi asset. So yeah, I would say keep an eye on Flare and FXRP and all the DeFi builds coming there, because for XRP holders, this may be one of the most meaningful upgrades in years. So given all that's the case, how about some real-world examples of how this will materially benefit XRP holders? Well, imagine you own XRP. You don't want to sell it. I can relate. I don't want to sell mine. Never have. I hope to at some point. I just got to be sufficiently enticed. But imagine you don't want to sell it, but you do want to put it to work. Well, with FXRP, your XRP can now serve as capital in DeFi. So for instance, you can mint FXRP by depositing your XRP into the Flare system, and then use that FXRP to provide liquidity on decentralized exchanges. So that means you might pair FXRP with a stablecoin and a liquidity pool and earn trading fees. It's kind of like passive income, effectively, and various reward incentives. And that would happen whenever people trade those pairs. So that's a way to let your XRP earn yield from active trading flows. That's a good starting point, don't you think? Okay, another example. You borrow against FXRP in a lending or lending protocol setup. Your FXRP, it serves as collateral, right? So you could borrow a stable coin, or it doesn't matter. Pick an asset. You could do that without selling your XRP, and people do want to do this. This gives you liquidity, cash-like access. That's what it does, while still retaining exposure to XRP's upside. So if you need funds now, but believe in XRP's future growth, this is a powerful tool. Now, for me personally, and I've talked about this before, you know, if I'm sufficiently enticed to sell because I have life-changing wealth, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. I understand in subsequent market cycles it can be way higher, but at some point you just got. I mean, at least for me, I'm just going to feel like I got to go ahead and get mine, and so that's going to be a driving force for me. But not everybody is going to have the same opinion as me. Some people are just going to want to do something like this perpetually, and to each their own. I'm going to secure the life-changing wealth it presented, but if you want to do something else, you do you. Just make sure you understand all the risks and benefits, of course. But this gives functionality, and this will result in more money flowing into the XRP ecosystem, unquestionably. So looking ahead, liquid staking is expected, by the way. And once that's live, you'll be able to stake your FXRP to earn staking rewards. This is, and think about it, that's while still being able to use that staked asset in DeFi. So in other words, your asset can be earning staking yield and be fully usable as collateral or in yield strategies. Well, that's a new one if you're an XRP holder. I mean, that's a lot of new utility for XRP. Now, to be clear, on the XRP ledger itself, on layer 1, XRP is mainly used for payments and settlement and liquidity, frankly. You know, through things like the native decentralized exchange and AMMs, which have been rolling out, obviously, but it doesn't natively support smart contracts in the same way that Ethereum or Flare do. That means advanced DeFi use cases, like everything I've cited here, again, lending, borrowing, liquid staking derivatives, all this stuff. You know, it can't be built directly on the XRP ledger today. It cannot be. So what Flare is doing with FXRP is effectively bridging XRP into a smart contract-enabled environment. That you love to see. And maybe there will be smart contract functionality on the XRP ledger one day. But I got to tell you, right now, this is something that's going to drive further adoption regardless. There's so much more you can do with XRP because of this. The market is figuring this out, and I just think we go way higher from here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.